thicker, and you probably will end up weighing a kilo or two heavier over the next week or two. And that's the muscle adaptation to the exercise you're doing. So it's good that you don't get on those scales. They're crap. But we are actually going to go through measurements today, just so we can make sure that the stomach is getting smaller. Yeah? Excellent. Yeah. So, if you both got your pen and paper there?
Yep.
Lovely. So the first measurement we want to start off is the belly button. I hope you can see my little red tape here. And I want to find where my belly button is. And then I'm going to wrap this around me. And the first thing, if you don't have a mirror, I can see the computer screen, which is nice. I want to make sure that the rope is horizontal or parallel to the floor. And then I'm going to go around me. I'm going to measure right there on my belly button without pulling too tight. So put the tape measure around you. Cool. Nice and relaxed. Make sure the tape measure is horizontal. Take a big breath in. And then breathe out. Breathe out, 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 breathe out. And you want to measure yourself at the bottom of your breath when you're completely relaxed and you're not holding it in. Yeah? Mark that point on the tape, take it out and have a look at how many centimeters you are, and then write that down.
So what's that called? Tummy?
Yeah, I usually just do BB for belly button. Common faults for a lady who's got larger hips, or maybe she's got narrow waist and larger hips, or a bigger bum, that sometimes the back will be up quite high and the stomach will be down quite low, so it's not parallel to the floor. Yeah, so we want to try and make it as parallel to the floor as possible, whilst taking into consideration all of our curves.
Yeah.
Groovy. Next one, we want to go the hips. So stand with your feet together. I'm going to put my hands on my hips until I can find my big bones that sit just here. And they are called the greater trochanter, and that's where the top of the thigh comes up into my hips. And there'll be a big bone around about there. That's where all of my leg muscles attach onto. So I want to find that on both sides and then go from there. Again, we're going to have the same problem, that the bum is going to want to push it down, and I'm coming up to here. So I need to make sure that I'm nice and loose around the hips. I'm on point with the hips. Sorry, nice and loose around the bum so it doesn't come in too tight underneath the curvature of my bum. I'm in line with my hips, and then again I come forward. I'm nice and parallel to the floor, and I take that measurement point and I write that down. So that one is hips. How you going there, Ro?
Yep. Accurate stroke. Obviously,
this would be a lot easier if you're in your bedroom, half naked in front of the mirror. You'd be able to check that out a lot easier, where your hips are.
Yeah.
All right, next one, let's do the chest. Unfortunately, the breast will shrink a little bit as you lose weight. So that's just one thing that we got to get used to. So again, we want to make sure that we are nice and parallel with the floor. Come around in height with the nipples. Now, before we take that measurement, take a big breath in. Breathe out, 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 out. Without pulling too tight, and take your measurement, and there it is. Again, make sure you're nice and parallel to the earth, and that you're not pulling too tight. Because obviously, where there's a bit of excess skin or a bit of extra fat, we can pull the tape measure in tighter, but we don't want to do that. We want the actual circumference of our body, so the tape measure is just resting on our skin. Beck, you look confused.
Legs and arms?
Yeah, we can do legs and arms. I find they're a bit difficult to do on your own. But the easiest way probably is to put the tape measure nipple height underneath the arm, and then I'm going to hold it under the arm like I've got my purse under my arm. Good. So what we want is we're using the nipple as an anatomical landmark. Again, we use our hips and our belly button as anatomical landmarks. So technically, they're always going to be at the same point on our body, right? So this way, we'll get the same measurement all the time. Obviously, if I came lower down on my arm, measuring next time, yeah, I've lost 3 centimeters, but I actually haven't. I'm just measuring a different point. So we want to make sure we're in the same point of time. So not pulling too tight again, around the arm. And then I'm going to get that point just there and measure that. So you might go see some personal trainers that will do measurements from the top of the shoulder down to the elbow. They'll find 2/3 and they'll measure there each and every time. And that works well. We don't have that luxury to be able to do all those measurements and move it around. So we use the anatomical landmarks to make sure we get the same spot each time. And then we want to have the arm loosely relaxed next to the body so that we're not pushing too tight and squeezing everything out a bit more. Also, take note of which arm you're doing, unless you're going to do both arms. Usually our dominant arm will be a little bit bigger than our non-dominant arm. Groovy. All right, so let's do thighs now. Now, when it comes to thighs, cool. When it comes to thighs, we want to come as high into the crotch as possible. So using anatomical landmarks, I will typically use my hand. So if I put my hand just next to my arms quite comfortably, like I'm standing at attention, and then I come up into my thigh, that's the top of my thigh there. So I can go to my thumbnail, and I know if I go to my thumbnail each and every time, I'm going to be in the same spot. Some people have a shorter torso, so their arm will be down here. Some people have shorter arms, so their arm will be up here. What you got to do is find just the same spot each and every time, whether it's your thumb knuckle, your thumb nail, or one of your fingers. Put that on your arm, and then make sure it's at the same height each and every time. Parallel to the earth again, of course. So that's my thumb knuckle, and that's nice. Good. That's my measurement. If you want to do your own arm, your other arm and your other leg, you're welcome to. And then write that down with the date. And you're good to go. Lovely. All done.